Donald Trump may have just exposed himself in one of the clearest examples of corruption we've ever seen. A message that he likely meant to send privately was accidentally posted online, and instead of hiding it, Trump left it there for everyone to see. What did it say? It read like a direct order to the Attorney General demanding that she prosecute his political enemies, not because of evidence, not because of legitimate investigations, but because he personally wants it done. This is dangerous. It's the kind of thing that in any other presidency would dominate the news for weeks and potentially end a career. Yet with Trump, it barely makes a ripple, simply because we've all been numbed by the chaos. Let's break this down. The post was directed at Attorney General Pam Bondi. Trump raged that she wasn't taking action against people like James Comey, Schiff, and Letitia James. He called them guilty as hell, despite there being no credible cases against them. He also complained that prosecutors who refuse to follow his demands are woke rhinos who should be replaced. He even went so far as to claim that failing to indict his enemies is hurting the reputation of his allies, insisting that justice must be served now. If you strip away the noise, what this boils down to is the president openly urging law enforcement to launch politically motivated prosecutions. That is not just improper, it's the definition of abusing power. Now think about the broader implications. In the United States, the Department of Justice is supposed to operate independently from the White House. That separation exists for a reason. No president should be able to use prosecutors like attack dogs to go after their rivals. We've always considered that a red line, one of the most basic safeguards of democracy. Yet here we are with a president casually crossing that line in public. He isn't even trying to hide it. And the response from his supporters, silence at best or outright cheering at worst. It wasn't always this way. Not long ago, Republicans lost their minds when Bill Clinton casually spoke to Attorney General Loretta Lynch on an airport tarmac. That conversation was widely criticized because even the appearance of impropriety mattered. Back then, Republicans argued fiercely that presidents and their staff should never interfere with Justice Department cases. Fast forward to now, and the same party is letting Donald Trump publicly demand that prosecutors target his political enemies. The contrast is stunning. What was once considered a scandal is now shrugged off as politics as usual. This shift is part of a larger pattern. Trump has always surrounded himself with loyalists and demanded total obedience. If someone in his orbit tries to follow the law or maintain independence, he smears them as weak, disloyal, or deep state. We've seen this cycle again and again. Officials are pressured to do his bidding, those who refuse are attacked or fired, and those who comply are rewarded until they too fall out of favor. The end result is a government where decisions aren't guided by facts or justice, but by Trump's personal grudges and insecurities. Take a moment to imagine if the roles were reversed. If Barack Obama had posted something like this, demanding his attorney general arrest Republicans he didn't like, it would have been a national crisis. Republicans would have called it tyranny. Conservative media would have talked about it nonstop. Impeachment hearings would likely have started within days. But with Trump, the standards change. Suddenly we're told it's not a big deal, that he's just venting, or that he has a right to be frustrated. This double standard isn't just hypocrisy, it's enabling. It sends a message that Trump is above the rules. Had the limits placed on every other president somehow don't apply to him? And let's not ignore the role of Trump's allies in amplifying this behavior. Far-right voices have spun his message as justified outrage, claiming he's the victim of political witch hunts while ignoring the fact that he's demanding politically motivated prosecutions. Some even frame it as justice delayed, pretending that failing to prosecute his enemies is proof of corruption. In reality, it's the opposite. The refusal of prosecutors to bring charges without evidence is what keeps our justice system intact. It's what separates democracy from authoritarian rule. But perhaps the most alarming part of this story isn't Trump himself. It's the silence of the Republican Party. Time and again, they've shown that they won't stand up to him, no matter how blatant the misconduct. They could put a stop to this tomorrow. They could censure him. They could push back. They could even move to impeach if they truly cared about preserving the rule of law, but they won't. They're too afraid of his base, too focused on short-term political gain, and too willing to look the other way as long as it keeps them in power. That silence isn't neutral, it's complicity. So where does this leave us? We're watching the erosion of one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy, that no president is above the law. When Trump feels comfortable enough to publish demands like this out in the open, it's a sign of how fragile accountability has become. If left unchecked, it normalizes the idea that presidents can use law enforcement as a weapon against opponents, and once that becomes accepted, it's nearly impossible to undo. The truth is, Donald Trump is not a king. He doesn't have unlimited power. He's a president bound by the same limits as anyone else who holds office. The Constitution was designed to prevent exactly this kind of abuse. Yet those safeguards only work if people are willing to enforce them. Right now, too many are choosing to look the other way. This is why it matters to speak out, to remind ourselves and others that this is not normal. It's not just another headline in the chaos of Trump's presidency. It's a direct threat to the independence of the justice system. If we accept it, we risk losing one of the core foundations of democracy itself. At the end of the day, this is bigger than Trump. It's about whether the country is willing to tolerate the erosion of accountability and the weaponization of law enforcement. History shows that when leaders gain too much unchecked power, it rarely ends well. The only way to stop it is for people, voters, lawmakers, citizens, to say enough is enough. That's the choice we face. Trump wants us to believe he can act with impunity, that he's untouchable, that he's above the law, but he's not. He's a president, not a monarch. And if democracy is going to survive, it's on all of us to remind him of that fact.